That would help if I did that. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Was
I'm high on cold medicine, so welcome to the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Valente, joined as always by Dan the Man Freshman.
What's up?
What up? And from Tennessee, AJ. AJ, how you
Hello,
doing?
hello.
Chicka,
I am
AJ.
surviving. I am surviving. I am not high on cold medicine. I do, however, have like some crazy headache going here, so maybe a Tennessee storm coming. We'll see. How are you, Dan?
I'm doing pretty good. We had that big storm that went across the country, brought us nothing but rain.
We got snow,
Yeah, well, you're up in the mountains.
sort of. We're at 2,000 elevation. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost heaven, right? West Virginia.
it's almost
So,
ascending rapidly, but yeah.
yeah. Now is that snow still on the ground?
The snow's on the ground. I had to shovel my driveway today while sick, which is always fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much did you have?
We had about 3 to 4 inches. You know, you always need a good 3 to 4 inches. At least that's
Yeah.
how I live my life.
Yeah, I'll leave those jokes aside, but it's because I come from a land of a lot of snow. 3 to 4 inches. I had a backboard essentially that was like a plow on wheels, and I would just walk that around the driveway, and that was really fast.
Yeah, I mean, it was not. So yesterday I did shovel. There was about a half inch left on the driveway this morning when I did it, but the problem was the snowplow in the neighborhood knocked all the snow up against the driveway end, which was the pain in the ass of it because everything was really it was hard to move a lot of that snow because it was wet and frozen and all that fun stuff. Do we have comments? We do have comments.
Comments already. Well,
We do. What's up, Craig?
Janice,
How you doing?
let us know when you're here.
Yeah,
because we want to make sure
it is her birthday.
Yep, exactly.
If she's able to join us.
If she's able to join us, I don't know that I would spend. Well, I'd spend my birthday with you guys.
Thank you.
I did spend part of my birthday with Dan. Getting drunk and doing trivia. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Like
so
well, not the drinking part, but
yeah. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to comment. I'm hoping that they'll show up. I'm surprised that Craig didn't show up in the comments. So, but drop them in there and we'll be happy to discuss while we do our show. So, how did you spend your holiday break, Dan?
Holidaying. Mostly what I did, I actually worked a lot. So one of the two startups that I'm working on is based, well, not based, but all of the engineers are Jewish. So although they had time off from work, it wasn't holiday season. So it was a great opportunity for us to get together and just crank out a lot of work.
So your job is a big Jewish conspiracy then, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because I am the least Jewish person in the company, which makes our demographic pretty terrible. I've thought about that a little bit. I'm like, man, we are a DEI nightmare. On the other hand, right, if the the CEO and COO are based in Israel, it sort of makes sense if you were hiring a company in Israel,
Yeah.
hiring Jewish men would be like hiring white men in Georgia, right? It would just be that's what is most common. And I sort of came in through there. And then, the group of people that we know who we hired in the first place, what happened was actually we started hiring October 7th. That was our plan. And so a lot of Jews were in Israel for what's called the Hagin, which is the sort of month holiday from Rosh Hashanah to the end of Sukkot. But then they were all stuck there because there were no flights out of Israel for the week after. So these guys all had the opportunity to sort of interview and start working and stuff like that. And so that's how we hired our first two employees. So, tragic situation, but it was good for hiring people.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot to work. So it was mostly a working vacation. We got a tremendous amount done. Our alpha is out in the wild right now, which is very exciting. And hopefully I'll be announcing it pretty soon here because we are going to be spending some money to recruit beta testers to do things for us. So
Nice.
Ooh.
pay attention to this channel.
Yeah. Sounds good. What about you, AJ? What'd you do for your holiday break?
Let's see. Christmas Eve, I worked.
Merry
Christmas
Christmas.
Day, huh?
Merry Christmas.
Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah. And then Christmas Day, we did presents with family and watched funny movies and we had an electrical issue. So the original plan was to watch the first Lord of the Rings movie because my youngest son had not seen it. And it was like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then we had electrical problem and couldn't watch the movie. And it was like, so we did that on New Year's Eve instead. And we're in bed by
Okay.
like 10. So,
In bed by like 10. All right.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, because I don't do that.
for us, we had a really quiet Christmas. We did a lot of cooking,
Yeah.
and trying new things. I smoked a turkey on the grill, and that was really good. But we made these pinwheel Monte Cristos with phyllo dough and ham and turkey and Swiss cheese and cut them up into little rounds and baked them in the oven, and they were absolutely delicious. Sprinkle them with powdered sugar and all that good stuff. If you like Monte Cristos, definitely do those. Um, did some gingerbread cookies with a cherry jelly in them and some other stuff.
What kind of jelly?
Cherry,
Oh, cherry. All right.
yeah, very very good, very tasty. But yeah, we've did a lot of cooking and spoiling the princess and making sure that she had a
Mhm.
good holiday. And uh, we didn't do anything exciting for New Year's. We just sat there on the couch and watched Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen get progressively drunker as the night went along. So
I actually watched the ball drop too, something I haven't done in years, but I watched the Ryan Seacrest one. I am concerned that Ryan Seacrest looks unhealthy. He's so thin now. He's like the minute bowl of TV hosts.
we had a very colorful conversation about Manute Bowl before the show. Sorry about your truck, Heidi. That sucks.
It does suck.
I
It's
have to
it's
hide
that
the chat.
Dodge Ram, right, that we were talking about before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the chat overlay. Not showing chats, but
There it
we'll
is.
figure it out. Well, it's there. It's just not showing the chats as
Oh,
they
we
pop up.
just show new one when it updates.
Yeah. But all right. So we are moving very rapidly. I posted on New Year's. Right after midnight on New Year's, it's like the optimism of going into a brand new year is tempered in the fact that we know this year is going to be a shit show. Um,
It's going to be so nasty because it's an election year.
it's an election
It's
We're
gonna
year,
going to
be
be
and
awful.
terrible
we
to each other.
we start immediately.
Yep.
Not this weekend, but next weekend we're on the cusp of the Iowa caucuses, only on one side, and then it really becomes thick and fast from there. We got the New Hampshire primaries, and we'll talk about the.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm not mature tonight. I can't do it.
it's
Well,
fine. I'm not mature either, so
say the funny thing.
Say the funny thing,
Coming
like
at
my
us
huge
thick and fast.
thick and fast.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's coming at us thick and fast.
That huge caucus is coming at you thick and fast.
See?
See?
Yep.
How am I the only one? The roaring noodle.
The strength of positive thinking. Yeah, I mean, there really is. I mean, like, I wanna be positive. Like, I think personally for me, I think I'm very optimistic about, how this year is gonna turn out and, me getting my enjoyment out of the year. But I know that forces beyond our control are gonna really
A
shit
lo-
on us
a-
all year.
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of people are going to be very unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning. Now, I'm going to put this screen over here so I look more at the camera. It's worth mentioning, I think this is better, that the person who controls your happiness the most is you. And so
Absolutely.
think about what's happening in this shit show when people are trying to be nasty and say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to control the stuff I can. And if I can be happy, I'll choose to be happy. Now, sometimes shit happens in your life. It's overwhelming. You can't. But
Yeah.
you don't have to be upset about presidential politics. I saw a great interview with Jon Stewart, who talked about the fact that, you know, as much as he hated Trump, he wasn't a huge Biden fan either, but he recognized what a gift Joe Biden was for him as a professional comedian.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, Joe Biden is just walking jokes. And yeah, well, so I'll tell you, Roaring Noodle, you can control your happiness, and everybody can, but sometimes we need to be cognizant of the fact that in order to control our happiness, we have to walk away from some things, or,
Yes.
our friend AJ is leaving Tennessee, the state that I think if she could find a way to stay there and be happy, she'd do it, but she can't. So she's
Absolutely.
leaving, which is a good choice. Do the things that you have to do to be happy for yourself. Don't make other people, uh, don't let them rent space in your head. Don't make them in charge of your happiness. I see we have the,
Yeah.
Trump was Bradford.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with that. I hope it's right. On the other hand, I worry. First of all, I worry about complacency, that some people are not going to take Trump seriously.
Yep.
Uh, and then the other thing is that how angry are the American people going to get? And I think for most people, we talk about the shit show that it's going to be and the unhappiness. I am somewhat unhappy when people are mean to each other, and I got a
Yeah.
feeling that's going to happen a lot. And
Yeah.
so, how do we deal with that craziness of people being mean to each other in front of us? How do we promote a happier, kinder, gentler America? Because I think that's what we need more than anything else.
Yeah, learning how to talk to one another outside of the whole, you know, that filter that we have with social media that you can say something without the fear of getting a fist through the screen, like, you can say anything you want to anybody, and there are generally fairly few consequences. Yeah, you might get kicked off your platform, you might, um, might get flagged, you'll lose friends, that type of stuff, but there really isn't, like, unless you do something overly obnoxious, start posting, white supremacist stuff, then there generally isn't a whole ton of consequences to your actions.
Yep.
But this is actually very good advice. Don't engage the assholes,
Yep.
and there are plenty out there. There are social media platforms that are chock full of them that you probably should avoid for the next few months. Like, I wouldn't
Well,
go on X for a
I
while.
think there's two things there. I'm also going to, one of my favorite things in the world to do is to quote Nicholas Sarwark to Nicholas Sarwark. And so in this case, one of my favorite Nick Sarwark quotes is, first time I actually met him, he came to the Massachusetts convention, and he said, there's a little phrase that I'd like every libertarian to learn and to say more often, which is talk when you're talking to somebody, After they've said something to you, say to them, you know, you might be right, because it indicates that you've heard them and you're not listening to them in an angry way. And the difference between an asshole and a person who has a difference of opinion might seem really fine, but it's not actually. There's lots of people who, and you know what, on this show, right? So the three of us have differences of opinions on a lot of stuff,
Sure. Yeah.
but we manage to not be assholes to each other because underneath all that other stuff is our ability to express our agreements, but also hear the other person and hear our disagreements and say, it's okay. We don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah. Yeah, complacency does kill republics. It kills a lot of things. I mean, we got Donald Trump in 2016 because the Democrats were fairly complacent going into that election, thinking there's no way people will
Even
vote
worse
for
than that,
Donald
they
Trump.
promoted Donald Trump
Yeah,
uh, because they
yeah,
thought he would be easy to beat. The best thing about it, saying the complacency is that the audience is going to have to look this up for us to remind me who said it, but all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do
and to do
nothing.
nothing. Yep.
Mhm.
I'll rephrase that and say good people, but whoever it is, it's true. And it's why a lot of times I think to myself that as much as I want to stay on the sidelines a little bit, I
What's up,
can't
James?
not do nothing. In fact, I will tell you that, well, I did agree to do something last week. We'll be making an announcement about it at some point in the future, but to do a little bit more than just what I've been doing for Let Live. I agreed to serve on the board of another uh, really good libertarian organization. The announcement isn't mine to make, but
Nice.
I decided that I wanted to do a little bit more than I'm doing. So it's on all of us.
Look
So
forward
let's
to
talk
hearing
about this Virgin Islands uh,
Virgin
primary.
Islands,
Yeah,
the official primary, Bill Clinton. Um,
also
yeah,
known as
we
the Just the Tip primary.
just the tip primary. So we've got. I mean, so next week we'll see more events coming, especially in Iowa. The Republicans are having their caucus in Iowa on the 15th, which is the
Yeah.
Monday after next weekend. Um, Now, it's only the Republican primary or caucus. I'm sorry, it's a caucus. The Democrats have decided to forego Iowa this year because they tried to move their caucus earlier to be the first in the nation election. The Democrats have wanted to pull the focus off of two heavily white states, and they wanted to promote South Carolina as a earlier option for their choices, and Iowa didn't listen and decided the Democrats decided they're just going to skip it. So
Well, New
um,
Hampshire too is like that, though, right?
yeah, very heavily white. They wanted at least one of
No,
those to go
I'm
away, but
saying New Hampshire also uh, went ahead and decided to hold their primary on the day they wanted, and that's why Joe Biden is not on the ballot in New Hampshire.
I didn't know that New Hampshire was the same thing.
Yep,
Uh,
and
but
that's
yeah,
why people were saying that it was interesting because if Kennedy ran as a Democrat, he would have won the Democratic primary in New Hampshire.
yeah, by being
Yeah,
the only candidate on there. Although
right.
not the only candidate. So Marianne Williamson is running for the Democrats. Uh,
Right.
And on the New Hampshire ballot is one Vermin Supreme. So if you're in New
Yay.
Hampshire, you can give your vote to Vermin Supreme as your candidate. If you're not happy with Joe Biden, if you're
Wow.
not down with Marianne Williamson, if you want your politics a little crazier than Orb Mom, definitely go for Vermin. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's on a few state ballots on a few different parties. He's running a different kind of campaign. And of course, he always runs a different kind of campaign. It's Vermin, so we love Vermin.
I
Um,
agree with that.
but
Yay.
yeah, did y'all see the small candidate debate in New Hampshire?
This ballot is crazy. Can I share it?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see.
Oh,
I have the Democratic ballot called up, and it's insane. So,
Lord.
yep, exactly. Here's Vermin, which is funny
Yeah.
because that's a pretty good place.
Yeah.
Marianne Williamson,
Yeah, you're a
some guy whose
bio.
name is already president.
Paper Love Prince.
Oh, yeah, he was entertaining at the small candidate, he's in that,
Oh, look at
performance
this.
artist mold.
This is crazy. Mark Stewart Greenstein. Nick and I know him pretty well. That guy's a libertarian. Um, he has a radio show in West Hartford. Yeah, exactly. Like Nick agrees with me. He has a radio show in West Hartford. Actually, it's based out of Greenwich, which is it's probably the biggest libertarian show because it hits New York City drive time,
Oh,
which
wow.
is yeah, I mean that's an enormous
But,
audience.
I mean, are we really that surprised? Because the, Libertarian Party of New Hampshire has turned that into a thermonuclear dumpster fire. I
Well,
don't know that I would run in that, run for that nomination.
Mark and I. Well, I mean, he's running clearly as a Democrat here. Mark and I have disagreed on some things, but I mean, he's a good dude. He's not a Mises person. Um, but I
No,
would
but
definitely
I
vote for
think I think, the rational libertarians are
yeah.
outside of Chase and Lars. I think the rational libertarians have really just kind of abandoned what's going on with the party and
Well,
not
I tell
contesting
you what,
that.
at some point we should talk about the crazy shit going down in California.
Uh,
Because that's going to be a crazy. I don't know how much you've been following that, Dave.
I've not.
So essentially, they had the LP
There you
California
go.
is having a pay to play presidential uh, panel, and it's $5,000, and it's going to be RFK Jr., uh, the rectum guy. I can't remember his name.
Rectenwald.
Rect,
Rectenwald. Yeah.
Rectenwald, and then Mike Termott, who didn't actually have enough money, but they let him in so that the panel would have more than two people on it. But Chase is not doing it. Lars is not doing it.
The rational
Buffalo is not
libertarians.
doing it. Um, Josh Smith is not doing it. Um, so it's pretty crazy.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
Josh Smith raises money for Josh Smith,
How
right.
so
many people are running for the presidential
too many.
nomination of the Libertarian Party?
And I can stop sharing this now.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, we listed the people that we know of. I don't think there's anybody else out there. Um,
Who is that dude that?
the Civil War guy.
Yeah, the Civil War guy.
Is he running
Uh,
against Derek Michael Reed? I think
yeah,
that's
yeah. I
funny.
mean, he usually runs. Always entertaining. Uh, Derek Michael Reed. Yeah.
Right. But that's all I've heard of. I mean, the serious campaigns are Chase and Lars. Um,
And then the
and
Twitter whining of Rectalwart.
yeah, and uh, Mike Vander Van Mike Termott is
Hornberger.
out there, but I
Oh, we
I
had him
can't
on the
imagine.
show.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything. Right, we had him on the show. Right,
Yeah.
we had him on the show. Remember, and I played a videotape of him lying. So
Did you?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, it
I,
was an interesting show.
yeah,
I missed that show.
he essentially we were at a thing where we were both speaking, and I called him out because he said that the Jorgensen campaign had raised $9 million, and I said to him at the time, I was there at the thing. I'm like, oh, that's not true. And he's like, Dan, I just looked at the FEC reports and I went over it line by line, and they raised $9 million. And so then when he came on the show, because I'd called him out about it many times since on Twitter and stuff like that, and saying, look, this is not an accident. He's actually lying because he said he went over it line by line. And he said, I guess I was looking at some other campaign, something like that. Whatever, dude. Liar, 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 on fire.
we need much more insertion on YouTube. I'm just saying.
Yes. Okay, so enough
That's
California.
the
You want to go back
California
to the
drama. I mean,
primary?
why would
I,
you? Why would you spend that kind of money to go to California? And California is, one of those Mises hotspots. Like, which I understand is why people like Chase won't go there. Um,
well, I
and
do think that Chase and Mapset are going there, and there's going to be a presidential debate. I don't understand quite what the thing is, but
there we go.
California technically sends more delegates than any other state to the convention. Now, in this case, with it being in D.C., I think the DMV states of Maryland and Virginia will probably send a larger delegation than California between the two of them.
Mm,
You don't
yeah,
think
I
so?
mean, in the past years, I don't know what the numbers look like as far as delegates go. I've blissfully just stopped focusing on that stuff.
Yeah,
But Virginia in past years has had about 30 some odd delegates, 38, 40.
right.
And Maryland
Maryland's had some
has
too.
Pennsylvania. If you talk about Pennsylvania, will probably send quite a few
Yep.
because of their proximity. Um, but it's I don't know. My feelings on the takeover efforts that are going to happen at the next convention. I think the Mises Caucus has tooled the rules to be able to block out anybody from
No, I mean
taking it
they
back.
also have essentially said in their private Discord that they're putting on Termat no matter what happens. So you know, big deal. Not Termat, Rectenwald.
Rectenwald. Yeah, well, that's what when first time I ever talked to Michael Heiss, he called me and he was talking about what they were going to do, and this is like 2018. And I was like, okay, yeah. So he was talking about what the Mises Caucus does because I was at that point blissfully unaware of their fuckery.
Right.
And he's talking about all these recruits and things like that, and they didn't really materialize until a few years later. But he had talked about Jacob Hornberger at the time and said, well, there's a bunch of candidates that we're looking at, but Hornberger is going to be our nominee.
Yeah.
And Mises Caucus for prison.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't disagree.
it is super crazy. I don't know. Hey,
Yeah,
are you going to
yeah, I
Liberty
got my
Con?
ticket. Yeah, I'm going to LibertyCon. I got
All
my
right, that's
ticket.
good. It'll be fun to hang out there. We'll
Yeah,
post pictures. Oh,
and
right, we're gonna do a live broadcast from there, I think.
yeah, either live or we're going to record people and play that as a show or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
That sounds good.
Um, but yeah, by that time we should have a few primaries already in the bank. Um, Iowa caucus. So if you're not really savvy as far as these primaries and caucuses go, so the difference between a primary and a caucus, primary is just like a regular election that you're used to, going in the ballot, putting in voting for the candidate you want to. Certain states have open primaries where it doesn't matter what you're registered as. You can vote in that primary. Um, and some are closed, so you have to be registered Democrat to vote in the Democratic primary and register Republican to vote in the Republican primary, which is fundamentally unfair because those states, they're taxing all the citizens to hold that election for what is essentially a private decision.
Yeah.
Um, but the caucus is interesting, and I would love to see it be in a caucus. So what happens is you gather at a specific location on the night. I don't think there are any proxies or vote by mail type deals with the caucuses. You have to show up, and then you've got different areas of the room that you got to stand in and be counted to uh, register your vote for a candidate. Now, if y'all remember in 2020, that Iowa caucus for the Democrats was such a hot dumpster fire. They had used some new app that
Yeah.
failed catastrophically. And like, I don't think we ever actually got the result of the 2020 Iowa Democratic caucus. They just kind of apportioned the votes as
Yeah.
what they could estimate.
Well,
Uh,
because Bernie had actually won.
I'm sure. Um, but yeah, Iowa will have their caucus on the 15th. And then the first, I mean, like massive test of the 2020 election campaign is going to be that New Hampshire primary. Um, not as conservative of a not that evangelical conservative um, group in New
Yeah,
Hampshire. There's more of the freedom type, get the more libertarian style Republican in New Hampshire, and I'm not sure if that's an open or closed primary, but um,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's
you might
pretty
get some
crazy.
Democrats. You might get some Democrat if it's an open primary. You might get some Democrats voting in there because again, Biden's
So
not going to be on the ballot. So
it is not an open primary.
ah,
However, the Republican ballot, I'm looking at it right now, is pretty crazy too.
oh, I
In
bet.
addition to Mike Pence, Vivek, Tim Scott, uh, Donald Trump. I'm skipping over names I don't know.
Oh, okay, so undeclared voters can vote in other primaries. So it's like West Virginia. If you're not a declared registered voter for a
Right.
party, you can vote in either primary.
Yeah. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, Asa Hutchinson. Uh, that's all I know. But there's 30 candidates.
Prosecuting the son of the sitting president. That's funny. I like that. Um, but yeah, then after that is the first big test for the Democrats. Well, second big test for the Democrats, that South Carolina primary. Um, and I guess you could say for the Republicans as well, because it's a the native daughter is going to be running in that primary, and it's if Nikki Haley comes close in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
then South Carolina is a must win for her.
Yep.
But I don't know if she's going to be able to pull enough of that
It,
evangelical. And for me, the life of
my
me, I
friend,
can't understand the evangelical link to Donald Trump. Like
no,
it
it's well,
baffles my mind. But
I mean, it doesn't baffle my mind. It's what's true about evangelicals that they really don't care. The whole idea that they're actually trying to save souls is mostly bullshit. Because I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, we're trying to save souls with the Crusades," right? There's no
yeah, you're killing people.
exactly, and so evangelicals and electing Trump, Donald Trump, who when he was on the Howard Stern show, and Howard asked him what his uh, policy on abortion was, Donald Trump said, "I'm a single playboy in New York. I've paid for thousands of abortions." So, there's no question about where Trump is on the issue in reality. Mr. Grab him
Well,
by the pussy.
he
And
he doesn't care. I mean, DC is going to have legal abortion no matter what, so he can always bring his paramours to the district and get it done.
yeah,
The idea that um, he will stop that behavior because he's the president is laughable. But
no, and
but
yeah,
again, I get what you're saying. They're hitching their wagon to Donald Trump because Donald Trump gives them power. He
right,
gives them power, and Donald Trump will give them a little bit of what they want in order for them to give him more power.
right. I mean, the thing that the
Moving forward.
Republicans don't want to see happen, and what is, I mean, I don't know, I can't tell you what's for sure, but is to see Republicans win election without the evangelical vote, which they are starting to abandon abortion as an issue because they know that it's
Yeah,
not a winning issue.
yeah, they're getting
Uh,
pounded all over the country with it,
yep. So
and in rock Republican states.
right, exactly. Well, and that's I mean, New Hampshire is a purple state. New Hampshire Republicans are definitely not evangelicals.
No,
So what's going to happen there? I don't know. But my friend Dante is working for the Haley campaign in New Hampshire, and you know they
she's
they've got
steady.
it, huh?
She stepped in it. Like,
No, the slavery thing.
absolutely unforced error.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it's stupid.
Yeah. It was a
Because,
stupid.
well, for a long time though, that was like the trivia question that like smart people would say, "Oh, um, you know, it's actually about states' rights. It's not about slavery." And then you come back with a quote of Abraham Lincoln saying, "If I could preserve the Union and not abolish slavery, I would do that,"
Yeah,
which
but
is
then you
true.
come back with all
He didn't say that, but
but if you come
fundamentally,
back with all the petitions for secession by many of the states that seceded,
yeah,
front and first and foremost was slavery and non-enforcement of the Fugitive Slave Act. So,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
she stepped in it. I mean, that's an
She did
easy
step
question to answer, and that I was like, if Haley gets the nomination, I'm not as concerned about this election. But then she does something stupid like that, which
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
well, it's funny because it's one of those things where you just wish that this person had thought just a little bit more. Yeah, it doesn't feel like she's doing well. She needs a big number in New Hampshire, and then she has to win South Carolina.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
I'll just say there's a point in time for those of us who remember political things where we were saying John McCain's done at this point in time, and he ended up winning the nomination.
yeah. There
And
there have been come. I mean, the Dean scream. Like everybody thought that Howard Dean was going to win the nomination,
we're
and
going
then
on, yeah,
like, what? I remember I was driving to Kennesaw State University for classes that day, hearing that on the radio, and I looked at my radio like, what the fuck did he just do? I'm like, oh, he's done.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Uh,
Yeah, and I don't think anybody. Nick's right. If Haley loses South Carolina, she's done. And
oh yeah,
I don't see like a DeSantis or anybody else really claiming anything
no, I don't think
valid.
either. I
Um,
mean, it is interesting what happens with the Supreme Court and the ballots. Uh, you know, let's just say hypothetically, Trump can only get on ballots in 290 electoral votes worth of states. That becomes pretty interesting
yeah,
uh, because it changes the strategy. Could I mean, I still can't believe it's Joe Biden. I still think somehow they're going to do a swap. I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's Joe Biden. But you know, look at some of the purpler states. Could Joe Biden, with enough money, win Texas? As Larry Sharp points out, it's not red blue. It's urban versus suburb or urban versus rural. And three of the largest cities in the United States are in Texas. Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Antonio are all solid blue.
yeah.
But let's see what 537 says.
Nick, I agree to an extent. I think in a head-to-head matchup, I think people will choose. Hillary had her own baggage. Uh, Biden has his baggage, but his baggage is already being held by the people that aren't going to vote for him anyway.
I mean,
Um,
Hillary's baggage. It has to be fair to be said. There's still enough latent misogyny in the Democratic Party that there were people out there who weren't going to vote for a woman, even hardcore
sure,
Democrats, because
sure.
they're just small-minded bigots. Fundamentally, they're like, ah, and so that's what happened. It's, I mean, I do think that Bernie would have won for sure. Hillary just had that big negative thing about it, and it's time for Democrats to wake up and recognize that your party is not 100% perfect either, because no
Yeah.
party is perfect, 100% perfect. All parties are, except for I'm not even going to say it. No party's perfect.
No. No, not at all. As we go to March, the schedule really picks up. We've got early primaries in Michigan, Idaho, Missouri, DC, in North Dakota.
Yep.
But I mean, I really do think that once we get past South Carolina, if Nikki Haley has not made a mark, um, we'll see this race wrapped up pretty quickly. Now, I do think, like with you, Dan, I do think that we're going to get into the summer, and I think the Democrats are going to have they're going to have a sit down with Biden and say, "Are you mentally up to doing 4 more years?"
Oh, I
If
wouldn't do
not,
that. I mean,
let's.
I would put him in an escape room, and if he gets out, great, he can run. And if he doesn't get out, sorry, buddy.
But I mean, at that point, you have a broker convention, and yeah. Honestly, I don't think a brokered convention is the worst thing that can happen. I think that is must-see TV. I think that is something that will
Yeah.
be fascinating for people who have never lived through a brokered convention,
Yep.
to see that play out.
Yep.
Yeah, he only has to get elected. Does he change vice presidents? Because Harris has been kind of a dud. Does he? I don't know if Gavin Newsom would give up his fetid piece of California to sit as vice president. Although knowing that he might get a chance to, get a chance to be president because Joe Biden's not getting any younger. So, but that those will be interesting conversations. I still would love to see a brokered convention. Smoke filled rooms and all that good stuff.
Right.
But Super Tuesday on the 5th of March is going to be 16 states voting.
So, I just want to quickly go here. So, January 3rd poll, American Research Group in New Hampshire has Trump at 37 and Haley at 33. That's a pretty big. I'm going to send you the link and you can pop it up on the screen. What is your name? Dave.
What is my name? I don't know.
Pop that
American
up.
Research Group.
I don't know who they are.
Yeah, I don't know who they are either. Talk for a minute. I'm going to try and bring up the 538 and see what they have them as.
Well, that's where I pulled them from. I pulled them from 538.
They have their ranks of trustworthiness in polls too.
Gotcha. You should do that live on screen. I think people would find that interesting.
I don't want them seeing my porn choices.
Your election porn, your primary porn?
Yeah, my primary porn.
Right.
What is this about goats and politics?
Right. Well, to Nick's comment about Mark governor of Texas, I would really like to see that. That would be an amazing campaign. A campaign that I would love to get involved in. Almost second place doesn't mean shit. It's true. But you want to be closer before the election rather than further away.
Yeah, and if she does pull that then you start hearing the thing called momentum. Does she have the momentum to? What is the name of that research? American
Research Group.
Oh, I've angered something. Oh, there we go.
American Research Group.
It's a C plus.
Yeah, I mean,
plus 8%, Democratic plus 0.
So, but I'll tell you what, they're based in Manchester. Their key person is LaFell Dixon Bennett, who was the pollster for John Anderson. It's interesting.
All right.
However, other people, it's interesting.
Yeah.
In November 2019, ARG had a B rating from 538. He critiqued them, however. Nate Silver is not a huge fan. Anyway, we'll see. It'll be interesting to
So
see where people are. Those are the only. That's the most recent poll up on 538, which is also where I go for stuff.
yeah.
Um,
So I do think that this race is going to be decided before we get to Super Tuesday. I just think that either Haley overtakes Trump, and
yeah,
I'm not really seeing it that she wins South Carolina, and then the momentum gets behind her, and the
yeah,
Republicans will start moving behind her because they see her as viable, and they also see the problems that Trump bring.
yeah.
And at least the establishment's going to get behind them, and Lord knows what they do as far as the conventions and all that stuff. There's still just a ton of voters who want to vote for Trump, but once we know what happens with South Carolina, we'll settle into our general election campaign.
Dude, look at this. Americans for Prosperity, who granted is biased and anti-Trump, but they have it 48 to 45. Oh boy, that's assuming that DeSantis and Chris Christie are not in the race. So in
No,
a head-to-head, Haley versus Trump, they have 48 to 45.
yeah,
But in their polling, they have Trump 45, Haley 32, Christie 9, DeSantis 6. I tell you what, if DeSantis comes in fourth in New Hampshire, it I think he would drop out.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
God, I hope so.
yeah.
I would hope so. I mean, we already got we got several crazy ass motherfuckers running.
Oh my gosh. Is there anyone that's not
I mean,
crazy?
I'm hoping Vivek drops after Iowa. Um,
I
DeSantis.
I mean, it's such a crazy state, and it's such a crazy Republican Party. I mean,
Yeah,
especially for those of us who, you know, were following the Ron Paul campaign in 2016. Sorry, 2012.
well, yeah,
They had this grassroots poll, and Ron Paul finished third. Mitt Romney, who wasn't technically running, still finished first. And Huntsman
oh yeah,
finished
John Huntsman.
And but Fox News, who's the primary coverage, never even mentioned Ron Paul. They talk about the different people who are running, and they talk about it's who was the Democrat who became a Republican out of Pennsylvania. I can't remember his name right now.
Rick Santorum.
Right, Santorum. Right, so it's Romney, Santorum, Ron Paul, Paulente, and then Huntsman. And Fox News just covers everybody there. And they're like, Fox News, you talk about John Huntsman, who came in second place among Mormons to a guy who wasn't even running. How can you possibly listen? So, the whole Republican institution in Iowa is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I know that the Paulistas tried to take over the Republican Party of Iowa. I think between the 2008 election and the 2012 election.
They did win the caucus,
Yeah,
but then they essentially threw all those results out.
yeah, exactly. So, um, as we get through the election and get into the election, there are some resources that you should be using.
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Because definitely need some voter resources. Let me get this off the screen right quick. All right, so organization I'm involved with, the people have a voter self-defense guide, have lots of resources about learning how to talk to people, having productive conversations with other organizations like deliberations.us, which I think Larry, oh God, what was the name of that Democrat that ran? The Princeton professor.
Woodrow Wilson.
No, not him. Larry something. Anyway,
Larry Sanders?
no, not Larry Sanders. But some of these organizations that teach you how to engage with folks in a productive conversation rather than just the normal political shouting matches. And a lot of this stuff has to be done in person. Don't try and do this online because online conversations generally are awful unless you're doing it in a medium like this where you're actually seeing the person while you're talking. Because then you actually see how your words affect somebody else. And that's another thing with online debates is that you don't, you can toss something out there like a grenade and not see how it affects somebody.
Yep.
But by having at least a medium of it, seeing the person, even if you're across the country from each other, you're able to see that and see how their words are impacting them. Another one, as we get closer to the election, we want to find out about your candidates. The League of Women Voters do all kinds of voter guides about candidates. If you're a candidate, this is the one thing that I will, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Green, Libertarian, if you get the League of Women Voters asking you to fill out their survey, fill the damn thing out.
Yep.
There, that's one of your main responsibilities as a candidate is to fill out as many of these surveys as you can and have a boilerplate for a lot of this stuff because a lot of these questions are repetitive, but have a boilerplate for your responses on different issues, so that when you get these requests for surveys, you can fill them out fairly quickly.
Did you say Ballotopedia already?
What's that?
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, Vote Smart. Probably used to be called Project Vote Smart. I think it's just Vote Smart now.
But now you're discriminating against people in Tennessee.
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired!
It's different when you don't have options.
Yeah, this is true. I feel this in West Virginia. But Project Vote Smart, good resource on finding out information about your candidates. Again, if your candidate and Project Vote Smart asks you to fill out their survey, fill out their survey. But yeah, those are some of the resources that I like to use when it comes to it. You said Ballotpedia.
Ballotopedia is a great way to know what's actually on your ballot. And then they have a breakdown of candidates. And what's interesting about it is that if you are a candidate and you can't get blue mark checked on Twitter or the site formerly known as Twitter, and who knows what it takes to get blue mark checked now. But in 2020,
Straight cash.
we're doing it. In 2016 as well, Ballotopedia had to have an entry on you. And if they did, then Twitter would give you a blue check. So, and then the one other I'll say is iSidewith, iSidewith.com.
The one thing with side with, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's good about telling about your political leanings, which where you kind of fall in this. I've heard a lot of things from candidates where they say that I side with, I will say, makes things up, but it's basically they research stuff and answer stuff that you don't answer.
Yeah, if you don't answer it, then that's on you, though.
Yeah,
as a candidate,
but the questions change all the time with I side with. So they add questions to these surveys. They take off some questions that existed previously. So it's unless you're going on there all the time to update your answers, some of the newer questions are going to be answered through possibly AI now. I don't know. It makes sense, but at least somebody's going to research your answers and come up with an answer based off of. We're hoping they base it off of something you've said in the public before.
The AI candidate.
Yeah, candidate.
Fair enough.
We should do that. We should have like have somebody run for an office where they do nothing but AI.
I was approached by a person who that's what they were going to do. They were going to say, I am the AI candidate. Everything that I do, I will put in front of public AI. I'll put the input in, and then I'll show it to you guys, and then that's what I'll do.
That's how we do it.
Yep.
And we'll say hi to our robot overlords.
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords.
Hello.
Can't be worse than any of the humans we got right now.
I mean, the robots are, aside from the humans are dead. Exactly. Humans are dead. We took poisonous gases and we poisoned their asses. 1000101100001. All dancing will be illegal except for the Robo Boogie
And the robot.
and the robot. For those of you who know, we
Uh,
are quoting Flight of the Conchords.
Flight of the Conchords, great series on HBO.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
All right.
I hate Turbo. Yeah. Yeah. So use the resources. Know your limits. If people are being assholes to you, I would avoid the artist formerly known as Twitter. I know people have gotten completely off of it. Twitter is, I use it for sports primarily now, because most of the sports articles that I read are posted there. But um, I look at some of the political stuff on there, and I just got to shake my head. Know your limit. Know the ability to back off, because you don't have to respond. You don't have to invite that stupid shit in your life. So, um, Ballotpedia has her picture. That is awesome, Heidi. All right. You ready for the le quiz?
Weh.
Wah.
Weh.
Wah.
The quiz.
Le quiz. All right. I don't remember what the hell I'm doing. Oh, stop that sharing. Add this sharing. You take a few weeks off and you forget how to do this shit. So, all right. Yeah. So it looked like people hanging out. I don't know. Now hiring. There's a strong jobs report that came out.
Yep.
Probably COVID vaccine of some sort.
That's going to be the border.
Yeah, probably the border. All right, question number 1. And remember, you can answer the questions in the comments, and we'll be happy to share them. Question number 1. 2 planes collided on a runway this week, causing a massive fireball. Where did this incident occur? France, Japan, Canada, or India?
I know this. Let the
I know it
audience
too.
get it. We could talk about, too, the amazing evacuation that happened on one plane.
At least, yeah, on one plane. The other one, not so much.
Right. The other one, which doesn't practice evacuations. And so practice makes perfect, but nobody's perfect. So why practice? Janet hasn't shown up yet. So happy birthday, Janet, when you watch this.
Yes, Janice, thank you so much for being a loyal viewer, even if you're not here tonight, because it's completely understandable because it's your birthday.
It is your birthday.
But go, Janice. Go.
AJ, what's the answer
Jan.
to this one?
It's Japan.
Is Japan.
Is turning Japanese.
Godzilla.
I really think so.
Intervened near the runway.
No, it's Gamera. Oh, who will save us? Yeah, collision at Tokyo's Haneda Airport on Tuesday. Hundreds of passengers aboard a Japanese Airlines flight safely evacuated in the terrifying ordeal. I don't think they lost anybody.
They didn't lose anybody.
There was an injury.
Which is insane. You look at that plane. That plane is friggin' on fire.
Yeah, they got the rescue
they had the
slide out.
Evacuated within 45 seconds.
That's amazing.
Damn.
The other plane was not so lucky. 5 of 6 people died on the plane.
Coast Guard plane.
Couldn't get. Yeah, it was Japanese Coast Guard plane. Japan had just had a massive earthquake the day before on New Year's Day, I think.
Yep.
And they were flying supplies to a coastal village to supply them because all the roads were out to that area.
Yep.
Sad thing for those folks. All right, question number 2. Which automaker recalled more than 112,000 vehicles this week due to a rollaway risk? Honda, Kia, Ford, or BMW?
I don't know this, but I bet you Heidi will. And if I were going to guess, I'd say it was Ford because they had that problem beforehand.
It's Ford, probably.
Yeah, but we'll wait. Let's wait and see what Heidi and some other people say.
Yeah.
But I do remember that there was a time when Toyota had a problem with the brakes not working, and it was related to cruise control. But their motto
I
at
just
the time
gotta
was Toyota, there's no stopping us. And then they had a big break.
It's like the Chevy Nova,
Right.
in they're selling that in Mexico.
Yep.
They had to
Where no
change the name of it.
means don't go.
Doesn't
James
go.
says Ford.
James says
Yeah.
Ford. All right. I like Ford. So does David.
Yeah, let's do Ford. It's probably BMW. Oh, it's Ford.
Yay. The
Yay!
F-150.
Question number 3. The F-150. Well, that's one of their bigger sellers. I actually got a
The
recall notice
F-150
on
is
my
the best selling car in the world.
Yeah, I got a recall notice on my Nissan Altima that I gotta get taken care of. All right, question number 3. A total of 22 states raised their minimum wage this week. Which state now has the highest minimum wage? Washington, Oregon, Colorado, or Florida?
My guess
I'm going to say probably not Florida.
Florida. My guess is going to
No.
be Washington because Seattle is
Yeah.
there. But I don't know.
It's either Washington or Oregon, I think.
Yeah. We'll wait until we get one guess from the audience.
AJ, what do you think?
It'd be cool if it was Colorado. I'm just saying.
James says West Virginia, which is not possible.
No.
Heidi says
Heidi's on a delay, I think.
Yeah, I think Heidi, you're on tape delay. So Craig says Colorado.
Craig says Colorado.
We all disagree. So
we
Rochambeau.
all just want it to be Colorado.
Rochambeau. No.
I think it's Washington, but if you want to say Oregon,
yeah, I'm leaning towards Washington, although I could see a case being made for Oregon.
Washington's got Seattle, all those communists, right? I mean, they have a
Oregon's got Portland though. Portland's kind of gangster.
Portland's gangster, but I mean, Seattle is, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So highest minimum wage is Washington State, $16.28, up from $15.74.
Right. Their goal is to have it at $100 by 2050. $100 an hour.
Nice. All right. Question number 4. Insulin manufacturers are making their products available to more Americans at what price? $10, $35, $55, or $100?
$10 would be reasonable. But as we know, especially when they do number shit like this, it's the craziest stuff ever. So my gut,
I'm thinking it's 35.
You think it's 35? I was going to say 100.
I think it's 35.
All right. Y'all both say 100. Say 35. Yeah.
It's 35. More Americans with diabetes can get insulin for $35 now that a third major drug maker is offering price caps and savings programs that lower the cost of the medication.
All right. I know this next one.
All right. Question number 5. Which monarch announced a surprise abdication this week after 52 years on the throne? That's a long time to sit on the toilet.
It is.
I bet her legs have fallen asleep.
Well, what's interesting about it is she came to power in 1951. So, sorry, I gave away gender.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I screwed the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Denmark's Queen Margrethe II said she'll hand over the throne to her son, Crown Prince Frederik, later this month. All right. I generally don't care about
royalty,
royals.
blah blah blah. I have been watching
my
the
wife
last season.
My wife loves that shit, but I can't. I just.
I watched the last. I'm watching the last 2 seasons of The Crown right now. That's about.
All right. Well, I'd rather drink 2 bottles of Crown. So
it is. It is interesting that it wasn't until Princess Charlotte that the Brits got rid of male primogeniture. The idea that only that men inherit the throne ahead of women. So that, for example, in line for the throne is Charles, and then Andrew, and then Edward, and then Victoria's daughter, who I think his name is Anne, or Elizabeth's daughter's name is Anne. even though she's older than Andrew and Edward. Anyway,
Trying to keep an eye on the Bills game. Bills game's going, and we'll talk about the playoffs here in a minute.
okay.
But um, let's see. Question number 6: which percentage of U.S. adults have received the latest COVID-19 vaccine? I'm gonna say it's small.
Yeah, I think it's super small.
I think it's like 19. I
Mm,
think
19%
those
seems
four
reasonable to me.
two 19, 43, or
Well, let's start
87%.
off with what percentage of political deep dive hosts have gotten the latest COVID-19 vaccine.
The latest one, not me. I need to get it, but I'm sick right now, so I
AJ,
can't do it.
no,
nope.
I got it. So 33%.
Well, 43. It's between 43 and 19. So,
It's got to be 19.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, 19% of adults, 8% of children have gotten the latest COVID-19 vaccine. CDC data shows this comes as respiratory virus activities high and rising across the U.S., although not necessarily COVID.
No.
No, RSV.
Because I've got something going on right now.
Well,
I'm going to the
I mean,
I'm probably going to the urgent care
there's
for
fast
'em.
spreading COVID right now. It's very
Yeah, there is,
on. Uh,
but I think there's other stuff out there. There's a lot of if you're a sports fan, you're seeing, especially in hockey, you're seeing a lot of players coming down with flus, not necessarily COVID, but
yeah.
um, missing games and things like that.
Yep.
All right, question number 7: which university is in search of a new president following a firestorm of controversy? Yale University, Columbia University, Princeton University, or Harvard University? We know this one.
We do know this one. But I'm going to ask you, Dave, before we know what the answer is. Can you tell me the mascot name for each university listed there?
Oh, the mascot name. I mean, I know that they're the Crimson,
Right? That's Harvard.
but I don't know if the
Well,
mascot and what their
that's what I
mascot.
mean. What is their,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, their team name is the Crimson based off their color. Back in the 1800s, a lot of teams name their after parts of their uniform color, like the Red
Stanford
Sox.
is the Cardinal.
Um, Stanford the Cardinal. The Arizona Cardinals were not named after the bird, named after the color.
Wait, is that true?
Well, back in the day when they were Chicago Cardinals, their color was the thing, and as they developed logos to go with their uniforms, then they started bringing in the bird to
Interesting.
represent. Same with St. Louis Cardinals.
Princeton, you know.
Princeton, Lions or Tigers.
Tiger, yeah.
Yale is what the hell's Yale?
Named after the
Blue
founder,
something?
the Eli's.
Eli's. Oh,
And I don't know what Columbia is.
Columbia's the Lions.
Is it? All right.
Yeah. All right. Harvard President Claudine Gay announced her resignation Tuesday following weeks of criticism over the school's response to anti Semitic incidents as well as ongoing plagiarism scandal. I did find it interesting that the wife of the guy who really pushed Claudine Gay out for her plagiarism, who's also a professor, is facing her own plagiarism scandal right now. So
Good.
be careful what you call into existence.
That's good. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible to get away with plagiarism in the future.
Yeah.
And
Um,
the thing about it is that those plagiarism catching tools will now, you should run your own stuff through them because it's
yeah,
entirely
absolutely.
possible to inadvertently plagiarize.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you know, I I will say that the anti-plagiarism tools are not foolproof. Like I remember we had a young lady at our university, straight A student. She was phenomenal. This professor just did not like her because she was a conservative and he was a former Black Panther. And so they clashed on a lot of things. And At one point, the final paper comes due, and she submits it to him. And the next, it wasn't the final day of the class. The final day of the class, they meet, and he says somebody's paper was a completely plagiarized, and the software at the time, Turnitin,
Yep.
would mark it in red if it was plagiarized, and this entire paper was plagiarized. Well, this dude had double submitted the paper.
Right.
So the first one's
Uh,
there, and it matched up against the second one, and dinged her. She sued the university and got quite a nice little monetary award plus her degree. So,
the color.
but yes, Ryan Fitzmagic is Harvard grad.
Highest ever
I
score on
think
the Wonderlic.
I think
Matt,
his beard is still going to Harvard.
Matt, the punter from Minnesota. Can't remember his name right now.
Prater?
No, not Matt
No.
Prater. Matt Turk. Harvard punter, Vikings. Sorry, no. Cluey was his name. Matt Burke also went to Harvard, but Chris Cluey was the guy who was a big one. And maybe I'm getting them mixed up now.
You want a smart punter.
Well, Cluey had a 1490 on his SATs. Excuse me. But
What?
he took all sorts of progressive political positions too, publicly, often.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Exactly. So it was interesting.
All right,
Talked a lot about his Dungeons and Dragons games too. All right, what's next?
nice. Question number 8: Which state sued the Biden administration this week over a controversial immigration law? Tejas, California, New Mexico, or Arizona? Ice-T.
I mean, it's not going to be California,
No, not gonna be New Mexico either.
right? Arizona doesn't understand how lawsuits work, so by process of elimination.
Yeah, it's gotta be Texas. Correct. The Biden administration on Wednesday sued for its controversial immigration law that gives local law enforcement the authority to arrest migrants, arguing the state cannot run its own immigration system, which immigration is technically a constitutional thing. So,
But so it's a different thing though, because immigration is one thing, but if an immigrant broke a law, if they stole something, the state would certainly have the power to arrest them.
yeah, but they have to break a law. Like you just can't arrest people for.
No.
And to me, I think the fact that you're an illegal immigrant is complete BS to begin with.
Of course. But the problem is that if the government controls immigration, who makes arrests for people who are in the country illegally?
Immigration and Naturalization Service.
Is that it? Is it only ICE that can do that?
Because for the specific crime of it, I would say that's probably the jurisdiction, the jurisdictional authority.
It's an interesting thing because you know how like the FBI usually can't arrest people.
Yeah,
they have to have like local law enforcement around to do it. This is a really weird gray area because certainly all sorts of other crimes they can arrest people for. The crime of existing, I don't think that is a crime. Can't arrest anybody for existing.
Yeah.
And so then the question sort of becomes, where are they going to go? But the one thing that I think is coming out of this that's becoming at least apparent to people, the border states have borne the burden of immigration, of southern border migration. And, they just shipped a little bit of it to the northern states. The northern states are like, stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's a a clever political move to do that. It should, you would hope that it would signal that the parties would reduce the barriers to actually working. I mean, because we all know that immigration is a net positive when it comes to allowing people to work and you know, bringing in revenue and things like that, you know, especially as a aging population that is not replacing its population through natural means, that this is going to be how they do it to survive the baby boom generation aging out.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the idea of, you know, setting up a pipeline saying, once you get here, pick your destination and then allow migrants to go anywhere they want to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Choose your own adventure. Be awesome.
Choose your own adventure.
Flip the page.
There's actually a guy.
Damn it, I'm in Wyoming.
There's a libertarian named Phil Gray who has a really interesting take on it. I can't remember exactly how that works now, but essentially, what he wants is to essentially let anybody in, and once they've paid X amount of income tax, then they're good to go. And so they have a debt up to that point. But to charge them,
it kind of has a ring of almost like indentured servitude type deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's, you know, more than that. It's not even indentured servitude because we're not necessarily requiring you to pay it back, but it does benefit the rich. Although the rich can already buy.
Oh yeah, rich
immigration.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, it's interesting. Research on YouTube where you can basically pay to move to. If you have enough money, you can move to any country. Lots of countries have the ability to bypass their normal immigration channels by, you know, either starting a massive business or bringing a business there or paying a large sum of money.
Yeah.
So
New Zealand is the best example with legendarily hard immigration.
But it got the cash.
You still can buy your way in.
Yeah. Malta is that way too. Let's see. Starbucks. Question number 9. Starbucks evaluates its environmental footprint. Which product is the company trying to phase out? Whole milk, wooden stir sticks, disposable cups, or bottled water?
I would guess bottled water, but I don't know.
I'm trying to look at the blurred picture here, and I almost want to say it's. I want to say it's either the cups or maybe the milk.
Craig says cups.
All right, let's try that.
All right.
Correct.
Nice.
Starbucks is inviting customers to use personal cups for nearly all orders, saying it will help reduce the company's waste output, which is true.
I think it's a good idea.
Although, yeah, you're just basically transferring all the cups to my goddamn cupboard because I've got 3,000 coffee cups in there and not a place to put a regular drinking cup. All right. Question number 10. Which classic video game was finally beaten this week, nearly 40 years after its release? Really? I would say the choices are Tetris, Super Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, or Pac-Man.
So we're talking 1983, 1984.
Oh,
yeah.
So that would be either
Donkey Kong is older than that.
I know which one.
Oh, AJ knows it.
AJ.
Yeah.
What is it?
Tetris?
It's Tetris.
Tetris.
He was 13 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Have you watched the Netflix movie on that?
I have. I love it.
I am waiting to watch that.
I hated Tetris. I played it a few times and I was just like, I don't like puzzles.
Oh, I love Tetris.
All right. Let's see that
perfect score. We score 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And he got it on video. Like you can see his face when he goes, oh, it's just the best thing.
That's
wow.
great.
All right. So, 13-year-old from Oklahoma is believed to be the first human gamer to reach level 157 of Tetris. Winning moment is circulating online and now viral YouTube video.
Interesting.
Super cute.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to that young man. All right, Dan, we got playoffs going. Last playoff spot to be determined.
Yep.
all the playoff spots have been determined. It's where they fall. But
Yep.
Buffalo is now leading Miami 21-14 in the fourth quarter.
With 1 minute.
1 minute left. Second and 10. Tua trying to drive him down the field. Winner of this game wins the AFC East and will get a home playoff game. I believe the loser will go on the road for the wild card round.
Yeah, they'll be. I think the loser is the fifth seed.
Yep. So,
It's pretty crazy.
all right. What are your thoughts on the playoffs? Of course, your Dallas Cowboys won the NFC East.
Yeah, in really a crazy scenario. If you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, I said there was no way the Cowboys could win the East because how could how could the Eagles lose it? But they
Yeah.
did, and so Eagle. I mean, I think the biggest story going into the playoffs is the Eagles' complete collapse over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks. I think they've won one game in the last 6 weeks, which is
Yeah.
insane for a team that looked really great up to that
They
point.
looked unstoppable at points in the season.
Yep. And then and now it looks like they're incredibly injured because it looks like their quarterback is out, Jalen Hurts.
Oh, Buffalo just intercepted.
So that's it. The game's over.
The game is over.
All
Buffalo wins the AFC East.
Yep.
I'm rooting for Buffalo because I'm not, major fan of the Buffalo Bills, but lots of my friends in the Sabres community are Bills fans too. So
Yeah.
hoping
Well,
they finally ever get it
and
done.
they've never won a Super Bowl. So
Yeah. If you ever get a chance, watch the Four Falls of Buffalo. It's the chronicling the 4 straight Super Bowl losses of the Buffalo Bills. Fascinating documentary of 30 for 30 on ESPN.
I'm sure it's
Really
great.
good. Let's see. Wild card weekend, the 13th, 14th, 15th.
The best one, we talked about this. The Los Angeles Rams, with Matt Stafford as their quarterback, are going to Detroit.
Yep.
With Jared Goff as their quarterback. For
Yeah,
people who don't know, the biggest soap opera drama was 3 years ago when Jared Goff and Matt Stafford
were traded for each other.
Traded lovers
Yeah.
and went to work for their opposite team.
And Jared Goff goes to Detroit and suffers through not quite a winless season. I think they won one game that season.
They were bad.
Yeah, they were horrible. Dan Campbell comes on and leads the team to at least the NFC
number 3 seed. Arguably, they could have been. They should have been. Maybe they should have been the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
There was a really
controversial play
in the Cowboys Lions game.
Yep. So wild card weekend, NFC, and the Green Bay Packers are at the Cowboys on Sunday at 4:30.
Yep.
The Rams are at Detroit Sunday at 8:15.
Yep.
Philadelphia is traveling to. If you told me that Philadelphia would be traveling in a wild card game, I would have laughed at you. But they're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would still say that Philadelphia is favored because the Buccaneers play in that god awful NFC South.
Yeah, if Jalen Hurts isn't playing and AJ Brown isn't playing, I think all bets are off. It's still a good defense, but
yeah,
Baker Mayfield is one of those guys that.
Yeah, he's got kind of that Tebow thing to him. Like he wins, not the prettiest thing in the world, but he wins. He wins games, and
interestingly enough, I mean, I think he's a nicer guy than Tebow, mainly because just I have a hard time with evangelicals. But Mayfield has shown a lot of character through a lot of shit, right? When they shipped him out of Cleveland, stuff like that, he was pretty good about it. So,
no, he's a class dude. Yeah, he's a class dude.
Yeah,
the Josh Allen is running around Hard Rock Stadium field throwing his hands up. There's a lot of Buffalo fans down in Miami. It's usually this because they're division rivals. It's their big travel game for the team. Of course, there's also a lot of folks who got tired of the winters in Buffalo and retired to Miami. So there's a ton of Buffalo folks there.
And it wasn't that long ago that people thought Buffalo was eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh yeah, Buffalo struggled through the mid part of the season, and
Yeah,
then had a murderer's row of games, 4 straight games against teams that had been in the playoffs the previous year or were leading their
Dallas,
division at the time.
Miami.
Yeah,
Yep, and they won them all.
yeah, they went 5-0 down the stretch to win the division.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think Buffalo. I mean, you talk about they often say teams nobody wants to face. I think the number one seeds in both conferences are deservedly the number one seeds and very tough.
yeah,
The Ravens and the 49ers both look great. The team that see, I like that joke. Flacco, former Raven, is making a lot of people eat crow. Um, but oh, absolutely, and I agree, Heidi. You're thinking that Matt Patricia is making them worse. I feel like there was a plan that they were going to make Matt Patricia go there and make the Eagles worse
there you
because
go.
it's crazy. Patriots fans are like, "What
Yeah.
happened?"
Uh,
Um,
well, AFC the playoff games we got Saturday at 4:30. The Browns facing off against the Houston Texans, the surprise winner of the
Surprising Houston
AFC
Texans.
South. Um,
The Houston Texans are on verge of being a huge dynasty. I don't know if they're going to pull it off this year, but holy shit, that team is loaded.
It looks like Miami will be playing Kansas City at Kansas City on Saturday at 8:15. That's the game that is exclusively on Peacock. So if you don't have Peacock,
I mean, it's nice
you
because it's a very small market game.
can. But yeah,
I mean, it
that's
is right. It's the smallest market game of all the games that are left.
I'm sure. So um, it looks like Pittsburgh will be going to Buffalo for
Oh
that
no, that's the
Sunday at
smallest market.
one
But yeah,
o'clock
it's
game. I mean, you could say it's smallest one of the smaller U.S. markets.
yeah,
Um, Green Bay is the smallest U.S. market.
no, but
Although,
I'm combining both teams for
yeah,
total market.
Buffalo has Toronto, so they do have a large international market for that team. Uh,
Interesting, but I mean, are they hugely popular in Toronto? I mean, I know they're Toronto's NFL team, but are
yeah,
they
they're Toronto's.
bigger than the Maple Leafs?
No, no, no. I mean,
Okay,
nothing's bigger than hockey in Canada, but
right.
when you're talking about, stop look at sharing
Yeah,
the quiz.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I Pittsburgh's going to be a tough out for the for the Bills. If the Bills play to what they've been playing the
Yeah,
month, I think
I'm
they're fine. But
Pittsburgh doesn't have their quarterback of the future. Mason Rudolph is not their quarterback of the future.
Pittsburgh, I mean, I'm fully convinced that the franchise of Pittsburgh has made some sort of deal with the devil to
Maybe
continue
is TJ
winning.
out?
What's that?
Is TJ Watt injured?
He got injured in the game, missed the end of the game yesterday, so I don't know
Right.
what his status is going forward.
JJ says it's the best case scenario, grade 2 MCL sprain. So maybe he'll be able to play. Um, yeah. I mean, I like Buffalo in that game. We should pick everything.
All right,
Uh, all right, let's pick them. I pick
all
Cowboys
right.
to beat the
So
Packers.
Cowboys and Packers. I got you never know with the Cowboys.
You never know, but they're undefeated at home, and they're at home now.
Yeah, but they've had home games in the playoffs. So we'll talk about the San Francisco game a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm just talking about this season. For sure, the Cowboys can lay an egg like
Yeah,
nobody's business. Um,
um,
but I
and
like
they've
the
laid
Cowboys.
eggs this season, like inexplicable games, like the loss to Arizona.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
they've had their moments this season where you're
But
like feel
everybody's
confident
done
about
that.
them, and then they do that.
Everybody has done that this season.
Yeah, this has
Everybody's
been a
got
really interesting season.
inexplicable losses, even the
Yeah,
49ers and the Ravens.
yeah,
But I would bet the Cowboys. I think the Lions will beat the Rams. The Rams are surging, but the Lions are at home. It's a big deal.
yeah.
I think the Lions know how to.
Their first playoff win in how long would that be? Like the
Their first
80s?
their first home playoff game in the history of Ford Field. Um,
But
which
they
is
haven't
pretty.
won a playoff game in I can't remember how
Yeah.
long. It's been
No,
like
it
8.
was Eric Kramer against the Cowboys, like
Oh, there you
92, 93,
go. Okay.
which is pretty crazy.
Oh,
Herman
it's
Moore.
Cowboys.
Yeah. And then I think the Bucks are going to beat the Eagles.
If Hurts
Yeah.
starts, and we heard that he has a
Finger
nasty
injury.
finger injury on
Throwing
his
hand.
throwing hand, so kind of karma from last year's NEC championship where
Exactly.
Brock Purdy injured his elbow.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, if Hurts doesn't start, yeah, it's a pick 'em, and I think Baker has the playoff experience. He's won a playoff game before,
Yep.
and he's got weapons. Like it's
Yeah. That team's got stuff.
but the thing is with the Buccaneers, they're just in that really just dismal division, and
Yeah.
they didn't really separate themselves until today. So
Yeah. And I mean, it's, I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable about betting a lot on that game because that Philadelphia defense is still there. That front four can get
yeah,
after the quarterback. And
I
so,
wouldn't bet. Yeah, I
I think
wouldn't
in
bet this
many
game at
ways,
all.
like if I'm going to think about it, who do I want to go to San Francisco next week in 2 weeks? I don't know.
um,
Probably the Eagles. I think the Eagles have a better chance of beating San Francisco than the Bucks do, but who knows?
yeah, but again, Hurts has to be healthy. I'm with you. I think Bucks win the game if Hurts is injured, but if he's healthy, at least healthy enough to pass.
Yeah,
And we know that Eagles do lots of short passes. They don't
yeah.
generally don't test the deep stuff a whole lot.
Who is their
Um,
back?
I don't know.
I'll look that up while you talk about the AFC games.
All right, AFC games: the Cleveland Brownies. The Brownies playing the Houston Texans. So this will be an interesting matchup. The Browns using Joe Flacco to hold down the fort. They got drubbed today by Cincinnati. Um,
So interestingly enough, the Eagles' backup is Marcus Mariota.
oh,
Not terrible.
not terrible, but I mean, he really hasn't done a whole lot since he left Houston or Tennessee
Yeah,
several years ago.
I don't know that
He wasn't that he wasn't that
gets
good
a
for
lot.
the
Titans.
Falcons.
Yeah,
So, all right, who you got? Cleveland versus Houston. I think
I Cleveland is surging. Friend of the show, Jim Babka, is a huge Cleveland Browns fan, but I got to go with Houston as the up and coming team. More so Cleveland's the Joe Flacco situation. Uh, it's an unbelievably good defense, but they're missing their starting running back. They're missing their starting quarterback. I just think that Houston's got too much there. Yeah. Plus, between Tank Dell and Nico and resurgence of their running game, uh, Devin Singletary
yeah,
and CJ Stroud's been playing great. So
yeah. I don't know. I think Cleveland will probably.
it's a
I
tough game.
think yeah, that's probably the toughest. What do you got, AJ? What do you think?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
All right. All
All
right. We're
right.
betting on Cleveland.
Going
That's a
Cleveland.
lot of money to put on
Back to
Cleveland, but
Cleveland.
okay.
All
Just
right.
remember, people, if you're unhappy, it's AJ's fault.
All
Um,
It's not my money.
right. Miami at Kansas City.
I like
Game that I
Miami.
want to watch.
Kansas City's been playing shitty,
But
and I think we all know it's Taylor Swift's fault.
yeah, is Taylor Swift going to be in attendance? She was
Oh
not
yeah,
in attendance.
it's the Golden Globes tonight, right?
Yeah.
She was at the Golden Globes, so you can't blame her.
She was also. I mean, that's in Los Angeles, isn't it?
It is,
And the game was in Los Angeles tonight, wasn't it?
but yeah, you see, this is the problem, Dave. You don't understand how much time it takes me to get ready to go to a ball like the Golden Globes. It's not just getting into the dress, which is difficult for me. right?
I'm
I
sure
mean,
it's very
the
difficult for you.
Spanx, cranking everything in, stuff like that.
More
The makeup, but
Dan's got more
also
Dan's got more Spanx than a dominatrix convention.
exactly. But also, I don't really trust mirrors in situations like this. So I like to take photographs from different angle and different light and stuff like that to see what it really looks like. So it's a long time. I can't just go to Travis Kelce's game and then just roll into the.
Well, there
Although
you
it would
go.
have been a good look for her. But I tell you what, it is interesting. I know you've been hearing this thing on popular media, but apparently they had a bodyguard sort of moment early on when they were dating, where they were sort of being rushed by a crowd in an uncomfortable situation, and Travis sort of picked her up and ran through the crowd and got her out of there. I can see how that goes a long way towards being a good boyfriend
Yeah,
scenario.
sure. All right. And I've gone on record. I'm cool with their relationship. I don't think it's impacting his season at all.
No, I don't think so
You know,
either. He's
fact
old.
that-
He's 34
yeah, the
years
fact
old.
that, yeah, he's getting towards the end of his career is what's impacting his
Yeah, yeah,
career.
yeah.
All right. The final game is going to be Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
I like the Bills.
I like the Bills as well.
Too much, too hot at the right time.
He's got fins up for that Kansas City game.
Yeah, I like that too. I think
All
that
right. AJ, what you got? What do you got in Kansas City and Miami? In Kansas City.
I mean,
It's
it's interesting because it is the biggest celebrity game, right?
It is, and it's going to be on Peacock. No one's going to be able to watch it.
No one's going to be able to watch it. But you've got Taylor Swift
I can watch it.
against Pitbull.
Dale. All right, AJ, what you got? Kansas City or Miami?
Kansas City.
Kansas City. All right.
We're going to Kansas City.
Better barbecue. I will say that.
Kansas City, here I come.
All right, and then the Buffalo versus Pittsburgh game.
Buffalo.
Go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. All right.
Yep.
Awesome. All right.
All right. Well,
show
thanks to
for
all our
me.
fans
Really?
for being
Yeah.
back. You guys, if click that like, subscribe button, share
Smash.
this post with lots of people. We did numbers are looking good. We're not going to forget you guys who are earlier influencers.
Yeah.
But as the show's starting to take off now, we made a choice. We're not selling out to corporations. We're not doing big car commercials or anything like that, because we wanted this to be a show in which you, the audience, gets a lot of impact. So thanks for everybody doing it. And
This episode brought to you by Kia.
Dave sold out. Son of a bitch. All right. I will say that there may be an Adam and Eve sponsorship coming in soon.
Nice.
Yeah. With
all right.
Well, I think the Eagles have been talking about it for a while because they keep doing the tush push play. And so Adam and Eve's a natural sponsor.
At least get the KY sponsorship out of that one.
Exactly.
Butt butter. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Give us a like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and we will see you all next week. It'll be a free for all next week. We will talk about Cape Verde as well.
Yeah.
So,
One of my favorite countries.
All right. So we'll talk to everybody next week. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one, everybody.
Good night, guys.